Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and internet. This is Kane1371 coming to you through the awesome power of internet. Well, as the title of the video just suggested to you guys, I'm going to be talking about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I watched the movie last night. We have a earlier premiere on our side in Europe, so I had the privilege to watch the movie alongside of some of the guys that got earlier screenings in US. And the interesting part was that yesterday when I got on the internet, I saw a bunch of reviews coming up, especially on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna check it out right now too, about the movie, and the reviews were really interesting, to say the least. And it was really something of a weird situation. Uh, but last night, IMDb had a rating of 9.1. Right now, it's down to 8.1. And Rotten Tomatoes started at 41% or something like that, went down to 38%, went up to 39%, 40%, and now it's down to 33%. 137 reviews are in, 45 of them have called the movie fresh, 92 of them have called the movie rotten. However, what's going on right now is that the fan base is praising the movie. On Rotten Tomato, it has 80% score as an audience score. On IMDb, it has hundreds and hundreds of reviews that are praising the movie, and I don't think that Metascore has opened the fan reviews yet, but Metascore has a point of 44% for the movie. And yeah, in 12 hours, the fans will be able to write in Metascore, Metacritic. Yeah. So, what's going on? Yeah, the movie has been getting bashed a lot by the critics, and the fan base is, on the other hand, really talking about how they loved it. So it's one of those moments that the fan base and the critics come to clash, and it has happened before. It goes back years and years and decades back when Citizen Kane came out. People loved it. Many critics bashed it because whatever the reason, and it is just something that is in Hollywood. World War Z came out, fans liked it, critics bashed it. This is not new, and it happens a lot. So what did I think about the movie? Let's talk about the visual, the sound mixing and music, acting and story. These will be the 4 points I will be talking about in this review. The visuals. Zack Snyder is known for making really good visual movies. Like visually, his movies are really good, including his Man of Steel. Visually perfect. They are just some. He just does it really good. Okay, and his visions come to life all the time, and it's just beautiful. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice felt like I am watching a comic book come to life. Every single shot, every single pan, when he was panning like from one side to another, it all looked like a comic book, and it is a good thing for comic book fans. But for the average Joe that goes to the movie just for the movie, it might be confusing. It might be annoying. Some of the things that happen in the movie, early in the movie, and this goes to the story side too. It jumped a lot. Jumped from this place to that place. It transitioned a lot, and it was like a comic book. You know, when you're reading a comic book, it is jumping around all the time. While in the movie, it doesn't always work that way. But visually, the movie was just like a comic book, and that was great. For me, it was like, wow, I'm watching a comic book come to life, and it was just impressive. It was there is nothing to say but to say that it was impressive. It was really dark, and I could have used some more colors. It was most of the time black, dark gray, gray, dark blue. Sometimes other colors were there, but it was just too dark sometimes. And I'm not talking about that the movie was dark. Yeah, the gritty part it was supposed to be gritty, but the color palette was really weak in my opinion. So I could have used some more colors, but it doesn't change the fact that visually this movie was impressive. There will be no movie, at least for 2-3 years, that will be able to top this movie when it comes to visuals. Okay, I'm gonna say this: Suicide Squad might be able to do that, but any other movie, I don't see it happen. Not with Civil War, not with Apocalypse, none of those. It's just like a comic book coming to life. But yeah, sound mixing and music. Uh, Music was with Hans Zimmer. He has been doing music for Batman movies for a while now, and he did music for Man of Steel. This guy can do music. Okay, he's really good. However, in this particular movie, the music was always here. Like, it was always over the top. It felt sometimes that it was too much. You know, it would basically eat up the background sound of the film, which in some situations it was really cool. In some situations it was just annoying. And I think that he should take a step back and look at his works again, and reinvent his touch, because as of right now he's been repeating himself over and over and over again, like literally from Dark Knight trilogy all the way to Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. It has almost become the same theme. So I would wish that he changes a bit and makes some changes to his work. It was fine in some moments, but in other moments it would get really really annoying. So yeah, acting. This movie was the first movie that it was the first time in many years that I felt for Superman, and that is saying something. I have been really vocal about my distaste for Superman, and I just never felt sorry for him. Not even in Injustice, not even in nothing. I never felt sorry for him. This time around, I really did feel sorry for him. And it had to do a lot with the story, but this guy, Henry Cavill, he just was good. He was good, and I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him as a Superman, and I just think that he has topped every other Superman. I know that many people do not agree with me, but this Superman, for me, is the best Superman out there. He has made me feel sorry for Superman, and that is big. Ben Affleck was a great Batman for this Batman, and I'm gonna explain why for this Batman. I'm gonna talk about spoilers a little bit ahead, but just right now, I'm gonna say he was great for this Batman. Okay, Gal Gadot, she barely had any lines. There were very few lines, which was sad, but in her acting, she was fine, and the lines that I heard most of the time, she was delivering them really good. Her accent does show up in some moments, but I don't care. I honestly don't care. I don't know why people care about her accent. I don't care. Uh, but she was really good. She was fine, especially in the last 30 minutes or something like that. That she was most that she had the most parts. She was really good. And Jesse Eisenberg. Now, this is the part that many people will disagree with me. Many people will say that you're wrong, but Jesse Eisenberg was perfect. To me, he was perfect because he's showing a younger Lex Luthor. And let's be honest, Lex Luthor in the movies and in some of the comics, he is a madman. He's a mad genius, and he's almost, in some manners, he's like uh, not Joker, but you could say uh, Deathstroke, right? In some manners, he plans up. He's mad, but he knows how to hold back. In this movie, Lex Luthor here is younger and he's broken down as a person. His personality is broken down, and he tries to hide away his madness, but he just can't hold it back all the time. And Jesse Eisenberg, for most of the time, for 90% of the time, has done a great job in this role. There's just one scene that I'm gonna talk about later on, that he fails to deliver as I would like him to do, but that's not important. So these are the four main people on screen. Amy Adams, she was fine, I guess. She didn't have a lot of lines or a lot of screen time in this movie, but she was fine. And yeah, and the story of the movie is the part that the movie starts to fall apart. The story could have been ironed out. And remember, there are 30 minutes of the movie that is missing. So that 30 minutes might make the story better. It might make the story even worse. But last night, something that I realized was that for me, that is a comic fan, it makes sense. Everything made sense. Aquaman, Flash, everything that we knew that they will be there, the cameos and everything, it made sense. But for the people, the average people that do not know about these characters, just didn't work. Not even Wonder Woman, because let's be honest, the three top comic book characters around the world are as follows: Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. These are the three most known, best-selling comic book characters. Even back when Marvel started, nobody knew about Iron Man. Nobody knew who he was. The average Joe that goes and watch a movie, they don't know who Iron Man is. They barely knew who Captain America is. So most of these characters would not be known. So they had to have these movies. And same goes for Wonder Woman. She's really popular. She's a part of the Trinity, but in the end of the day, she's not as known, as well known. And that is why, for many people, it might turn out to be like she's just shoehorned in, while she's actually an important member of the whole Justice League. So I would wish that they would spend more time on her in this movie. But I guess they were gonna focus on her in her own movie, which makes sense. Makes sense. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't make sense. It does make sense. But yeah, I just wish that they would explain her a little bit better. And there are just things that they could have done differently. But the story revolves around Bruce Wayne and how he becomes this person that is going to fight Superman, and they did a good job to explain why Batman would go against Superman and why Superman would go against Batman. And it's really interesting because this is the first time that you see Batman be different. He's different, and I'm gonna tell you about how he's different in the spoiler part. But for now, I'm gonna just finish this up and say that the story, in times it does drag, in times it is rushed, but all in all, the 2.5 hours that they had, 20 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes maybe for the whole movie, the 10 minutes, last 10 minutes probably is credits and stuff. The 2.5 hours that they had, they used every moment of it. And it is easy for me to sit and say that this part was rushed, this part was dragged, they could have cut it out, something like that. But when I sat and thought about it later on, every single moment was used to build up the story and this atmosphere of the movie to explain why this is happening, and that makes it impossible for me to say that this scene should have been gone and this scene should have been in the movie. Uh, so I'm not gonna say that the story was perfect, but in my opinion, they did the best they could with it. So, what would I give this movie? I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. And this is because I'm trying to be really hard on myself because I'm a big fan and I really enjoyed the movie. But at the same time, I have to be also critical of what was going on. And the biggest problem this movie had was the story. And because of that, the score comes down from 8 to 7.5. I would have given it an 8 or 9, but I'm gonna give it a 7.5 because it is still impressive to watch visually. Acting is really good. The sound, when the music is not pushing down on your head, the sound is just perfect. The gunshots, explosions, everything. And even the story, as I said, to many times, is just dead because it's telling you how it's going on, what is going down, and it doesn't make sense. They could have made it better, but as is, I think is also fine. So I give this movie a 7.5. And now I'm gonna talk about spoilers a little bit. But if you guys have watched the movie or don't have a problem with spoilers, you can stay around. If you don't, now it's time to get out. Are you guys still around? Yeah. Okay. So, um, let's talk about spoilers. And I'm gonna talk about this: Superman, Batman, Flash. These three people I'm gonna talk about, and Doomsday, and a bit of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Let's start with Batman. They did a great job at bringing Batman's origin story to the movie. It was just great. You didn't need to see his parents die for the what, sixth, seventh time on screen. So they did a great job. They made a really fast summary of whole thing that everybody knew about it. So, and they did it real nice visually. And it was actually it was I'm sorry, I'm a bit sick. It was tied into the story really well, so it was really nice. Uh, but what was really interesting was that they also explained why Batman is against Superman. At the day of the Battle of Metropolis, as we have seen in the trailers, the Bruce Wayne is there, and he goes to the ground zeros, and it makes sense because he's Batman. He is that person. Batman is Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is not Batman. Bruce Wayne is the alter ego of Batman. Batman is not the alter ego of Bruce Wayne. You know how I'm saying? Bruce Wayne is the main character. I'm sorry. I mean, Batman is the main character, and Bruce Wayne is just a side character. He is just a mask that he puts on. So he goes to the ground zero. He drives there, and he goes there because his building is right there. You know, the Wayne Enterprise Finance Building, or whatever it is called, and he goes through like some really dramatic shit right there. One of his employees, that is also his friend, is in the building and dies because of the fight. When the building comes crashing down, one of his employees is on the ground, a huge debris on his leg, and he saves the employee. The employee's wife and children die. Um, the employee becomes crippled. He saves the child, whose mother is one of his employees and has died in the fight. And the child is standing below the ruins of the Wayne building and looking up, and there's a debris that is going to crush her, and he just jumps and saves her. And you can see that this guy has been in the ground zeros, and he's affected by everything that he's seen. And this is like the first time that he sees something this big. He has gone through a lot of stuff, probably gone through Catwoman, Two Face, and Joker as we know it, but this is the first time that he sees something as big as this. So it affects him, and you can see it in the movie. And it explains really well why he would go against Superman. He's personally affected, and this Batman is a broken person. You can see it through his act. He has been doing this for 20 years, and he has lost good friends, including Robin and probably Two Face, because when he talks about how many good guys are left, how many remain that way, he's definitely talking about Two Face and Dent, because that's just how it works. It just makes sense, and he does talk about stuff that makes that reminds you of characters in the Batman universe, like when in the trailer he says to Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman that I have known women like you is because Gal Gadot has stolen something from him, and he's like, I have known women like you, and she's like, you haven't met anyone like me or something like that. He's probably talking about Catwoman, because Catwoman stealing stuff, yeah, and so he has gone through a lot of shit, and at this moment he's a broken person. He basically doesn't care about the life of the criminals anymore. He kills, and there's no way to go and say that it's rubber bullet or anything. No, no, no. He kills criminals. He attacks viciously and mercilessly. Not just in the dream scenes, but in reality he does that. And you can understand why he's doing it, because he has seen too much. And there's a scene that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor character has got a bunch of thugs to kidnap Superman's mother, Martha Kent. And this scene happens right after they fight, after their big fight, and Bruce Wayne is basically going to kill um, Superman, and Superman, as his last word, says that you're gonna let him kill Martha, and he becomes like, "Why are you saying Martha?" Because Martha was his mother's name too, and he's like, he gets really confused, and at that last moment, Lois Lane is there and jumps in the middle and says that Martha is his mother's name, and Batman snaps out of it because until that moment he has been manipulated by Lex Luthor to the point that he decides to kill Superman, and Lex Luthor basically brings the weapon that he can use, the kryptonite, and shows it around. Like, he knows that Bruce Wayne will understand that what's going on, and he's basically strutting around with it, and he uses even Bruce Wayne's people that Bruce Wayne knows to manipulate him. As I said, there is the employee that gets crippled in the ground zeros, in the ground zero of the Battle of Metropolis, and that guy, he's the one that goes and writes the false god on Superman monument, and he gets arrested. Lex Luthor pays his bill. He comes out, and Lex Luthor is like, "Stand up for what you believe in." And it turns out that Lex Luthor wants to, manipulate the world against Superman. Shocker. And so to do that, he makes this guy his pawn, and this guy goes into the state court or something like that. I don't know what it is. Is like a Senate court or something like that, and it's a place that Superman is supposed to be there. And there's a Senator Finch, that you see in the trailers, that you would think that she's a bad person, but in fact in the movies she's a great person. She's understanding, and she's trying to help Superman, and she's against Lex Luthor. So he wants to take her out and make people against Superman. So the employee is carrying a bomb, and he kills everyone in that building basically except Superman, and Superman is blamed for this. And all these moments, it just builds up. It builds up to the point that Bruce Wayne goes at it, goes all out, and goes for killing Superman, and he comes this close. And it is really interesting to see. And like the letter that you see in the trailers, the "You Let Your Family Die," it was written by that guy. That guy becomes, he becomes disillusioned with Batman. I mean, Bruce Wayne. He starts to hate him because Bruce Wayne. He thinks that Bruce Wayne is not seeing danger or something like that. And Bruce Wayne didn't know that this guy is going that way because he has been trying to helping him by paying his bills and stuff like that. But the guy at the end becomes a pawn of Lex Luthor without Bruce Wayne even understanding what's going on. And at the end, so he goes to save Martha, and he decides, okay, so it's not time to fight. He goes to save Martha, and when he goes there, he says that, "I'm the friend of your son. I'm gonna help you." And there are two thugs in the room. One of them is holding a LMG or something like that he has subdued. The other one is holding a flamethrower and has aimed at Martha Kent's head, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill her," and he's like, "I know," and then he shots at him. He shots at his flamethrower can, or whatever it is, the capsules, and the fire starts to spread, and he just grabs Martha Kent and jumps out of the window, and explosion and everything. So this guy is broken down. He's killing, and it's understandable because if he's not killing, they will kill, and so he has come to this point that he is killing, and it's really interesting because it's the first time that you're seeing Batman succumbing to this thing. Batman has never lost his way before. It barely ever happens, but Superman has been going through this stuff a lot, and so it was really interesting for me. I know many people didn't like it, but I was actually intrigued by this Batman because for me it always made sense because Batman is the one that is the powerless one. He doesn't have powers, and he has to face all these things. So for him to hold back against all these crazy people, holding back against killing them, was always something that was like, he's gonna snap at one time, he's going to snap. And it was always interesting to see him not snapping, he being the one that controls himself, but at the same time, he's really intriguing as this character. So this Bruce Wayne was really interesting. However, at the end, he does change his way and goes back to being the guy that doesn't kill, and goes by the justice, you know. But it was really interesting. Okay, so I didn't hate him. I was enjoying it. Henry Cavill, as I said, was great. Every scene that you would see him in, you just could feel his pain because he was just feeling it. You know, he was having a hard time. The entire world against him, people trying to kill him. You know, all of that, and I really liked him. There's not much to talk about. Flash. Flash had a cameo in this movie, and his cameo was really interesting because he comes back, he runs through time and comes to warn Bruce Wayne about Superman, and he says that you were right, and this happens right after the it happens right after the dream sequence that is in the desert, in the desert that we have seen so many times. Batman wakes up only to see that there's a figure, a human, in a bright light that is talking to him and saying, "Bruce, you were right. You were right to be afraid of him. Be afraid of him." And he realizes that Bruce Wayne doesn't understand what's going on, and he's like, "Oh, I came too soon." And he just says that be afraid of him, fear him, and he goes away. Now, I understood that it's Flash immediately, but there was literally nothing saying that this is Flash. You couldn't see his suit. You barely could see his face. There was a mask, a red mask. That was basically the only thing that would show that it is Flash. And the light around him wasn't yellow. It was bright white. So, even for people that have been watching Flash TV series, it would be hard to understand that this is Flash that has come back to warn Bruce Wayne. You know, those parts, those are the things that when I said that in the story, some parts just could have been done better. Visually, it was really interesting to see him, the whole way that he came, but it was just rushed. It was just rushed, and I was like, okay, what the hell is going on? Um, Another thing that I wanted to talk about was Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor was really interesting. He is showing a broken down Lex Luthor. Again, these two characters are broken down, both Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne. They have lost so much. The Lex Luthor is talks about that how he has been abused by his father for many years, and then he becomes an orphan. So you can see that he has these different personalities, his problems, and he has a complex. His a superiority complex, and that is why he's against Superman, a guy that can be above him and be stronger than him. And that's basically it. It's not really complicated why he hates him, and in some moments it just doesn't make sense. But at the same time, he's a crazy guy. He has lost it. He is broken down, and he just wants to be the smartest and strongest, and that's what he tries to do. The problem with the story was Doomsday. The way that Doomsday was done. Uh, it's basically that he brings Doomsday to the crashed ship that is containing the Genesis Chamber, or whatever it's called, the Kryptonian Genesis Chamber. He brings his body there, and then he has acquired knowledge from the computers that they have there, and he has read about the histories and creatures and different stuff, and about this abomination, this creature that is just that has been banned by the Kryptonian Council, and this creature ends up being Doomsday. And the way that he makes it is that he just brings him in the Genesis Chamber and just cuts his hand open, some of his blood, and that's it. I was like, okay, what the hell is that? The creation of Doomsday was weird. Doomsday himself was awesome. I know that many people didn't like him, but the way that they showed him, I enjoyed it. He starts with just being a big guy like Hulk or Abomination without having the bones sticking out of him, and then the more they attack him, he gets stronger. More bones come out of his body, and at the end of it, Bruce Wayne had made a spear that has a kryptonite blade, you could say, and they decide to use that to kill Doomsday. And Superman picks it up. You know that he cannot really control his, he cannot really fly well or be much strong when he has kryptonite around, so he's having a problem. But he flies ahead to Doomsday and stabs him in the heart, and Doomsday stabs Superman in heart with his bones, and Superman dies, and that's basically the end of the fight. Doomsday dies, Superman dies. They probably are gonna bring back Doomsday in another movie because we all know that Doomsday just cannot die this easily. But yeah, Superman dies, and then they hold a memorial for him and everything like that. And at the other side, the Kent family is burying Clark Kent, and the movie ends with Batman. The last scenes are this: that Batman is talking with Gal Gadot, and he's saying because um, Lex Luthor had files on some other metahumans, including Cyborg, Aquaman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and Flash. And he's talking to Wonder Woman, and he's saying that we should. I failed him when he was alive. You know, he being the guy that just didn't have any control on himself. If he had snapped out, he was like crazy. I'm not gonna fail him in his death, and you should bring those guys together, and we should make a team. And she's like, why do you think that we need them? He's like, a hunch or something like that. And so they decide to bring together the Justice League, um, and Batman goes to Lex Luthor, uh, and throughout this movie they talk about how Batman brands some criminals with his bat symbol, and it's like a way to send them when they go to prison they will be killed basically. It's like a mark to kill these guys in prisons. So he goes with this brand to Lex Luthor in prison, and Lex Luthor is like, "Oh, I have killed the god. Now the demons will come," uh, referring to how he has led to the death of Superman, and because of Superman being gone, more people will come now to attack Earth because Superman is gone. And Batman is like, "We're gonna save it," and whatever stuff like that. And instead of branding Lex Luthor, he punches the wall, burning up the wall with his symbol, and basically that is the moment that you understand that this Batman has changed and he has gone to the right way again. And the last scene is that you see that Lois Lane tosses a handful of dirt over the Clark Kent's coffin, and then the camera goes down to the coffin, and you see that the Earth is starting to levitate and come up, and point out that Superman is going to jump out of the coffin anytime now. So yeah, that was a movie basically. Those were the parts that I really felt to talk about, and for me, this movie was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. There were some really nice jokes in it. People were laughing in many parts. Um, it just felt good to watch these two to watch these two come together, including Wonder Woman 2, and it just felt good. I don't understand why people hate it right now. Why the critics hate it. I have seen critics talk about how it's not Marvel, how it doesn't have jokes, and it's really dark. And I say it is dark. In tone, it is really dark, and I like it. In colors, I would like some more colors, definitely. But yeah, all in all, the movie was really good. The story was really intriguing. All the time you're talking about the politics. You're talking about who is to blame. You're talking about how should people act around Superman. It's really, really nice scenes, and it was just really well done. I enjoyed the movie a lot, and I think that the movie deserves a lot more than this. In my opinion, you should go and watch the movie. You should buy the movie when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, because this is just one of the best movies out there right now. And I will never understand why people hate on it, but I mean the critics, not the fans. The fans have been enjoying this movie, but I don't know. So for me, this was a great experience. And I hope that you guys go and watch the movie and enjoy it too. This was Kane1371, and I'm logging out.